All right, everyone. I have on Carley Schweet here, and I'm really excited to talk to her. I got the honor of meeting her like a little over a month ago, and spend some quality time with her at a retreat. And I saw what she was doing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have you on the podcast. She is the founder of Hello Postpartum, and I'm really excited for her to share her story with us today. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh gosh, thanks so much for having me. It's always so fun to have these conversations and connect and, just share and hopefully inspire a few people. So thanks. The honor's all
Yes.
mine.
Yes. So tell us, how did you come up with the idea to start this and maybe a little bit of your story leading into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was pregnant with my first in 2019. And when he was born, at the end of the year, COVID happened like 2 months later.
Right.
And I was a first time mom, someone who struggled with anxiety already. Um, in retrospect, definitely should have been diagnosed officially with postpartum anxiety, because I would spend so much time Googling and researching and like fact checking every little thing. And in that kind of dark moment, I realized, why can't I find expert written articles and resources all in one spot
Hmm.
that show both sides of the story? If I want to breastfeed or formula feed, if I want to sleep train or not sleep train, if all these different methods of caring for ourselves after birth. Like, why can't I find this all in one spot? So, after I kind of dug out of the trenches a bit, I told my husband, we have to do this. I have an idea. There's nothing like it. People need these resources. And then from there, it's just kind of started growing. And I always say, like, I am not a postpartum expert, but I know a lot of people who are, and I
Yeah.
connect them all on this platform, um, and share my personal story, of course. But um, yeah, it was really when I was in those trenches, realizing I need some resources that are legitimate, that I can trust, and that will let me choose ultimately what's best for myself.
Hmm. Yeah. I I can totally relate to that with my first. Looking back, I definitely struggled. In the moment, I think I thought I didn't think I was okay, but I didn't think I was bad enough to
Yeah.
like seek help. Um, but I was.
Yeah.
And I think also, I don't know if it's different because that's like our only experience, like, because I had my baby 2020. So being in that COVID bubble of what can I do? What can I not do? Like, just, I obviously had a whole nother layer of anxiety.
Yeah.
Um, of, do we let people see our baby? Do we not? Do we, like,
Yeah.
do we leave the house? Can I take her grocery shopping? Like, I don't know. And but I struggled. I Googled a lot, and I struggled with intrusive thoughts really, really bad.
Mhm.
Um and trying to find out what's normal, what's not normal, even like being a birth worker, like what I would normally tell somebody, like, it's hard when you're in it and you don't see it. Um and it is hard when you're just like going through the Google page and you're like, okay, I can read an article about this, but then I need to go read another article about that. And then
Yeah.
you're trying to like just figure out what's right. And everybody has different sides of the story and you don't know
Yeah.
what to do. So like, it's so amazing that you have a resource that's all in one spot.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And the intrusive thoughts and all of those feelings is it's really overwhelming, and it's hard to know, like you said, like, when is it, quote, bad enough? Um,
Hmm.
and it's like at any point you feel that you need support, it's valid. And I think that's really important, a really important message to share, that what's bad enough for someone might not look like bad enough for you. So it's important to seek help when you feel like this is not just like a short-term situation that's happening for me.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, thankfully, like, it did, I mean, subside. Like, my postpartum experience with my second was like completely different. I didn't
Yeah.
deal with any of the same stuff. Um, so that was like reassuring. I was really nervous. I remember like a month before I had her, like crying and being
Yes.
like, I don't know if I
Same.
can like go through. having these thoughts again all the time. I don't think
Yeah.
I can cry myself to sleep every single
Yeah.
night again. Like I don't the not only the intrusive thoughts, but like the rage and like just other things that
Yep.
came. I'm like, man, I just don't want to feel like this and just really, really dreading it. And it didn't come. So that was like such a relief. But I also stopped Googling.
Well, yeah, and that helps a lot, which is ironic because like our website, we live on Google. That's like where everyone finds us for the most part. But um, yeah, it's hard to know when to stop, and just really trust yourself. And I think it comes more naturally with the second and subsequent babies too. The first one, it's really wild, and postpartum. And I want to clarify, postpartum is defined as a period of time after birth. You obviously know this, but for someone listening, when we say postpartum, it's not an official diagnosis of like postpartum anxiety or depression or
Right.
another PMAD. Um, Everyone who gives birth or even experiences a loss is postpartum. So that postpartum time, when we don't prepare for it, can be so blindsiding. That's why hopefully the second and subsequent pregnancies go a little easier after baby's born. But my goodness, it's a lot.
Well, I remember asking quite a few people, like, what was the hardest transition for you? And a lot of people said 1 to 2 kids or 2 to 3.
Mm.
So far mine's 0 to 1 by far. Like,
Same,
that
same.
was very, very rough. Like, me even feeling like I don't wanna be a parent, like, I don't wanna do this.
Yes.
Like, what did we sign up for? Like, I just
Yeah.
changed my life forever, and I'm gonna feel awful forever.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And there's a reason. I'm so glad that you said that because there's a reason. One of our like top read articles for a long time was I regret having my baby.
Mm,
And it just gives me goosebumps because I remember feeling that way. I remember when I was pregnant talking to my good girlfriend who had just had her first, and she's like, "What the hell did I do? Like, I
mm,
ruined my life." And this was a baby they wanted and they planned for and they tried for. But, you know, both feelings can exist of gratitude and also like, oh my gosh, this powerful grief of an old past life.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I feel like the postpartum, like, connection, it's hard because I feel like when I was pregnant, I didn't feel like a super strong connection to the baby.
Mm.
Um, and then after having the baby, like, because people are just like, "Oh, isn't it amazing? It's the most wonderful thing," like, all these different things, and I'm like, "Sure, it's okay." Like, like, being pregnant, I was like, "Yeah, I guess." Um, and then afterwards, same thing, people being like, "Oh, isn't it just, like, so amazing?" And me just feeling like, "No, it's not." And then you feel
Yeah.
awful, you feel like you're a bad mom, you feel like you don't love your baby as much as you should,
Yeah.
um, and so many different things, and I've talked about that on here before, like, I feel like I didn't really start to feel connected until around 4 months, and then probably, like, really started to feel connected around 6 months postpartum, um, that I was like, "Okay, I can do this."
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a normal experience and very
Mhm.
common. At some point, right, if we're like totally not caring about the baby and neglecting them, then obviously,
Right.
not normal, but it's so common to just yeah, feel just so disconnected. And like I felt that way through my second pregnancy a lot. She was a surprise, like unplanned pregnancy. And I was so terrified of postpartum after my first. He was my so backing up a little bit more about my story. My first was breech. So I had a C-section after literally trying every single thing, um, including an ECV, where they like manually try to,
Yeah.
spin the baby. You obviously know, you're very familiar. Um, and, grieving that whole birth, the vaginal, birth center birth that I wanted. Um, where was I even going with this?
Oh,
Such a
that you
mom.
like, in your second pregnancy, you didn't feel connected.
Yes, yes, exactly. So thank you. After my postpartum experience was really hard. I mean, between the cesarean recovery, between, COVID, between being a first time mom, when I became surprise pregnant with my second, I was terrified, just terrified, like couldn't go through with it again. I wasn't ready. we weren't even trying to have kids, and it was really hard for me to connect with her and cause so much shame, so many thoughts of like, I'm not deserving of this. Who am I to have this healthy pregnancy? All of these really spiraling thoughts, definitely connected to anxiety too, um, that caused me to, yeah, not really have a connection with her for a long time.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It can be tough. And I do feel like there is like more awareness going toward postpartum, but
Yeah.
not it seems like not more support. So
Yeah.
there's like this awareness that like these things are happening, but we're still lacking in the support so much, or you still feel like you can't voice those things.
Yeah.
There's not somebody that you can talk to. And yeah, just like that support, like, cause even like being a birth worker, I'm like, okay, like postpartum, like these are things that like you genuinely need to do no matter how your birth is to like really promote recovery, really promote these things. And we just don't have the means or the support to allow that. I can't just spend 3 weeks bonding with my baby and barely getting out of bed when I have two other kids and a husband who
Yeah.
has to work. And you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I have other kids to feed, I have other things to do, like, just in our culture and in our society, we're not, like, making room to, like, almost even, like, really let you process the experience. It's just, like, you just keep going on with life happening, and that's it.
Yeah, it's so true, and I get goosebumps as you were sharing that because it is really true. I mean, the postpartum time is not honored in our modern society here in the US. Um, and it's interesting too, with birth trauma, especially, I'm sure you see this a lot in your work. Like when we don't take time to process it in postpartum, whenever you're ready, it resurfaces, whether it's in
Yeah.
your next pregnancy, whether it's at your right before your next birth. For me, it was at my chiropractor's office. I'd never experienced PTSD until months later, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, wow, this is intense." Like I really missed out on doing some work here. Um, and when we just gloss over it all and just give ourselves a badge of honor for bouncing back, which is such bullshit, and
Yeah.
glossing over that time, it's just we're really doing ourselves a disservice in the end, and it's something you have to fight for. Truly, it comes down to that at times. You have to fight for that time to
Mhm.
recover and rest and that support, and it's not always easy.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's like postpartum in general, there's, like, not a lot of support, but especially, like, if you've had birth trauma or if you've had, a cesarean, that's, like, what blows my mind is that are you in the States? I forgot if you're in Canada or in the States.
No, I'm in Seattle.
Okay, okay. Um, in the United States, like, it's the most common surgery performed, but yet every other surgery, you're required to have physical therapy after and other things. Cesareans, they just act like it's nothing. And
Nothing.
it's major abdominal surgery, and people don't even know that they carry trauma, like, in their scar or in their uterus, like, emotional trauma, and then, of course, physical trauma from a surgery, but, like, it's like they're like, "Hey, don't pick up your toddler," and you're like, "Okay, well, who
Yeah.
what?"
How?
Right, like, how am I not I have to help my toddler wash their hands, who's gonna pick them up?
Right.
Like, I have to, whatever it is, and there's just, like it's treated like it's absolutely nothing, and it
I
just,
know.
like, blows my mind that that's how it happens here, because I always say too, I'm like, "If it were reversed, if men were getting this surgery"
I know.
right? Like, they would have sufficient time off, they would probably have some form of help, like, they would
Yep.
be the
Yep.
biggest babies ever, and this just, like, wouldn't be as big of an issue.
I know. I know. It's so true. And I talk a lot about this with friends and, people in our community that postpartum and especially cesarean births are so downplayed and so glossed over in our society, in our continued healthcare. And, it is so wild to me. And then when anyone has an experience that's less than easy peasy, like walk in the park, they immediately think something's wrong with them because no one told them it's hard. No one told them it's a big deal. I get
Yeah.
very fired up about this. And then the internal judgment comes. People don't seek help because they think I'm not normal. Like this is just a weird experience. And when the reality is it's freaking hard and morning people need to be honest in talking about it. Not to scare new parents, of course, but to really, promote self-advocacy and empowerment and to say, hey, this is hard. I'm preparing for this. This is not enough. I know something's not right. I need help.
Right. Right. I know. Yeah, and like not even just cesarean, just birth in general. They're like, well,
Yeah.
women have been birthing for thousands of years, so meh, like
Yeah.
you've been doing it forever. It's a walk in the
It's
park, and it's like,
natural. Yeah.
okay, right, exactly. Like your body's made to do this. Okay, that doesn't mean that there's not like they're still healing. Like you don't think
Mhm.
about like I was talking to I don't remember who the other day about something, but um
Story of my life.
yeah.
I'm like, it's in there somewhere.
Well, just in the postpartum recovery, it's like even
Yeah.
if you feel okay, you have a plate-sized wound in your
Yes.
uterus that's bleeding, that's trying to heal.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be running up and down the stairs. Even if you're like, wow, my postpartum's great, I'm doing
Yeah.
well. It's like, no, you have a plate-sized wound inside of
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
we just don't even think about it. We don't have time to think about it. We're, and again, it's just like, well, you guys have been doing this forever. It's natural. It's whatever. Meh. And it's like, okay, like that doesn't mean that like we don't require recovery. That doesn't mean that we don't require help, that we don't there's the emotional pieces of it. Like there's so much involved in it. And again, yeah, there's like this awareness around postpartum now, the fourth trimester,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, when are when are things going to change? Like
I
it's
know.
cool because like in some other countries, like in Europe, in several countries, there's a midwife after you have a baby that will come to
Yes.
your house like once a week and
It's
check on you for
incredible.
like 6 weeks until like your 6 week checkup. And it's like, how amazing.
I know. It's so funny you mentioned that because we just yesterday, which in real time, this is not just yesterday, but it's on our website now. It's live, published a blog post all about postpartum care around the world. And it
Yeah.
is so eye-opening,
Hmm.
and really can give you some good insight for those reading it, just how important this time really is and how it's viewed in other countries. Like you said, midwifery care is the standard. They come every week. I think it was in the UK. I'll have to pull it up, but in the UK or somewhere, you get a call within 48 hours and then a visit within like 3 days.
Right.
Scandinavia, you get like the newborn boxes with postpartum and newborn essentials, and then the
Hmm.
box doubles as a bed for the baby. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I
Hmm.
do on so many levels, and that's a
Yeah.
whole other podcast, but
Right.
um
Taking
it's
down the patriarchy.
yeah, I know. I'm like, when does my baby wake up? Um yeah, it's really wild. And I think, my goal with Hello Postpartum is to help women and birthing people feel more empowered to say, hey, I read this online from this legitimate source. Like, take it to your doctor, take it to your midwife, take it to your care team, whether you're pregnant or postpartum, and say, what are my options? Or tell me more about this. Or I'm making this choice. Whatever it might be to help you advocate for yourself, I think is important because until the systems change, like all we can do with, I believe, is really gather knowledge and find our community, and wherever that might be, virtually or in person, but gather knowledge, get the research, and what a privilege it is to even do that in the first place. But um just prepare as much as you can, and put your cards on the table and say, this is what I've found, tell me more.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, with the postpartum around the world, I know that there's like a lot of cultures too that really focus on the first 40 days, which,
Yes.
there's the book that talks about nourishment about the first 40 days, but there's
Mhm.
some cultures where like you don't get out of bed pretty much for 40
Yeah.
days and you're taken care of. And
Mm,
yeah, we just don't have that
pull it up.
here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm gonna pull up the article. I think it was Japan.
Yeah, I know that
Um,
it was, I think it's Japan too,
yeah, you
where like
move
the
back
mom
into your own
comes.
home.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and you're, like, fully cared for, um, and yeah, you're just doted on, and that's how it should be, right? I mean, it just goes to show. It just goes to show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we
Uh,
can also like, break some of those cycles too for when our daughters have babies and like
yeah,
if we're able to offer that. I know some people, their parents are still working or whatever it
yeah,
is, just being able to offer that to them of like, okay, I'm going to come take care of you
yeah.
and the other stuff. So you don't have to cook for your family. You don't have to clean for your family.
Mhm.
Um, we're going to do that during this because we know how sacred this time is.
Yeah,
Um, so I think finding that community or finding people in your life and being okay accepting help. We like also live in this society where it's like, I don't need help, I'm okay. And it's like, okay, even if you don't need help, you do during this time.
yes, yes, get comfortable with asking for help. I mean, it is so important. I love that you brought that up because if you're still pregnant listening to this right now and having given birth, like start asking for help and start getting comfortable with it because
Right.
you're going to need it at some point.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and then yeah, just even like preparing for that postpartum period, I feel like with everything for some reason, there's just like such a lack of education.
Yeah.
Um, there's really nothing I
No.
feel like that's given to you. You have to fill out that one form when you go to the doctor that's
Yeah.
like, I sometimes feel happy or I can laugh at things like I normally do. Like,
Yeah.
that form
Edinburgh like
assessing.
depression scale. Yeah.
Yes. Um, and then like, aftercare, if you have stitches or if you have different things, like there's, minimal stuff given to you. But there
Yeah.
is more that you can do. And again, that's just like not offered out there. And then you're left to be on Google in
I
the middle of the
know.
night.
It's so frustrating and it's so disheartening because like I said, the more we gloss over this time, the less of a deal it seems and the harder it is to get people the help they need and deserve. And we have expert written ebooks on our site literally for that purpose because there is so much information and I wanted it in a concise, condensed way for people to just, read through while they're pregnant or read through while they're feeding baby in the middle of the night. Because there is so much to know and there is so much that's very common and very normal that can be very jarring when you first experience it. And then, of course, there's things that are very not normal and that need more support. And learning to differentiate between that can be tricky. You know,
Mhm.
it's a goal of mine, if anyone out there works in a hospital, to get our ebooks, like, as a part of this aftercare because it fills in such a huge gap in care, and it needs to be passed off to every new family. I mean, it truly does.
Mhm. So what kind of ebooks do you guys have?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have 6 in total now. We have week by week recovery, which covers the basics for vaginal and cesarean birth. We have a mental health guide. That's probably our number one bestseller. A hormone handbook, nutrition guide and recipe book. We have a cesarean recovery guide and then a self-care guide as well. I think that's it. So that's 6
Mhm. Yes.
all written by experts. Like I'm not
Mhm.
writing these. These are written by naturopathic doctors, by midwives, by doulas, people who are very much in this world and sharing their education and knowledge with you.
I'm gonna include a link in the show notes for those listening for the
Oh,
ebooks.
amazing.
Because
Thanks.
it's also something that you can gift to a friend. Like
Yes.
I feel like these are the types of things that need to be put on baby registries.
Yes. Yes.
Like, you honestly don't need like 100 onesies, you
You
know?
don't. Or baby blankets or like the booties that
Gosh.
end up like lost. You know,
My
if you
kids have
have
never worn booties or the like baby mittens,
I
either
know.
one.
Yeah. No. Or like the hats you wear for like 1 second.
No,
Um, yeah, if you have a baby list registry, you can add our ebooks to your registry if you
that's
have that
awesome.
special plugin.
Yeah.
Um, because you should have access to this information. And if you can't or don't want to purchase it yourself, by all means, put on the registry. I'm all about postpartum stuff on registries.
Yeah. Well, and I love learning about this stuff too because I like to go off registry. When I look
Yes.
at people's registries, I'm like, I like to think about postpartum. So like often I'll put together like a postpartum bundle of different things that they could
Love
use for the
that.
mom, for self-care for her,
Yeah.
like not everybody, even after you have the baby, everybody's going to be bringing the baby outfits and
Yeah.
you're going to have everything you need. Like literally you need a bassinet and a way to feed your child. Like
Yes.
that's it.
Yes. It's so
Um
true.
yeah, and like clothes, obviously, like they need something to wear, but it's still like minimal. And
Yeah.
yeah, okay, diapers, wipes. Um, hold
Still
on.
minimal, like 5 things, right? Like
Right,
places to sleep, clothes, food, diapers, wipes,
right,
car seat, fine, a
exactly.
car seat.
Right, okay, yes, okay.
Okay, 6
We've
things.
added it up. Right. But that's like really it. Like
It is.
it's you don't need a ton. And like I just feel like there's needs to be so much more for moms. Like even I've even just gotten them like a pedicure to their favorite place, like,
Oh, so nice.
things like that of, okay, you had a baby, like, here's a gift certificate to go get a pedicure or a massage, and if you have nobody, like, to watch the baby, let me know. I will take your
I love
child,
that.
like, just
Yeah.
because it's like you sometimes just maybe need to breathe or maybe just do something that you enjoy that you don't have time for. But I think the education piece, I'm a big fan of, like, gifting, like, a childbirth education course or, like, yeah, this postpartum bundle because you the more tools that you have, like, you can turn to those, and then you don't feel so lost. Like, you
Yeah.
can pull that out of your tool belt, and even, like, I like in this bundle that it has, like, this C-section recovery because there's also oftentimes maybe that wasn't the birth that you planned for, but then it happened, so now what?
Yeah.
Now what are you gonna do? Like, you don't wanna just have to Google stuff in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's so true, and it is so I mean, 1 in 3 births, like you said, in the US is a cesarean. Worldwide, I think it's 1 in 5, and I always say it's so important to prepare for both types of birth. I mean, you were like the birth plan, like professional, but it's like it's so important because we don't know how birth's gonna go. Baby doesn't read the birth plan. Like, they don't know what you want or what you're thinking of. And yeah, it's important to plan for both. We even have a free cesarean birth plan template on our website because, you know, just fill it out. You just never know. And just have it ready, have those conversations. Yeah, it's really important.
I also see that like you guys have, I mean, you besides like blogs and resources from experts, you also have a shop on your site.
Yes.
What kind of stuff do you guys offer?
Yes. So this shop like just lights me up inside because this is such a virtual business that we have, but to like pack my husband and I pack orders when the
Oh,
kids go to bed.
I love that.
And thank you. Yeah, it's just so nice to like see these well, like a lot of postpartum care gift boxes come through and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this person is about to get this incredible gift." Like it just fills me with so much love for themselves after birth. But we stock only postpartum recovery items or like some like fun lifestyle or self-care things. Nothing for baby on site. Um, all from small businesses around the world. So, most of the stuff isn't available on Amazon. I really try to source our products from other small companies doing the work in the postpartum world to, not only support your postpartum recovery, but support their business as well.
Hmm.
Um, I love it. This is like my little baby, and I just have so much fun with it. And it's been really fun and pretty well received too, which has been great to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you basically work as like an inventory huddle for this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so we have like this outbuilding on our property. It's like this old doctor's office from the 1800s. It's pretty cool. Um, but it's like our warehouse. I mean, I have like, those like shelves you see in people's garages. Well, they're in there and like with Tupperware boxes all labeled. And like I pack orders in between nap time or once the kids are down, and I walk them to the post office down the street. And it's just like such a fun part I really enjoy. It's like so cathartic for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I love that too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do order some stuff off Amazon. My
Oh, of
husband and I
course.
did a thing, was it the month of May? And it was he couldn't go to Starbucks and I couldn't use Amazon. And we make bets with each other over different things. And it's like stupid. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if you lose, then I have to take you out to dinner. Like it's
Yeah.
not coming out of the same bank account.
Right. Yeah,
But
exactly.
but
It's
it's
principle.
fun. And
Yeah.
it was actually really, really nice not using Amazon for a
Mhm.
while. So if there's a product that I know that I can like get at a store down the street or something, I try not to use it.
Yeah.
Or if like I was just like ordering stuff off of like Earth Mama the other day. And
Yeah.
so like I went to their website
Oh, I
instead.
love that. Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I really there's some things that make my life so much easier using it.
For sure.
But when it
Especially with
comes to
little
like
kids.
right, right. Um, for the most part, you know, it's just like random things where I'm like, I really don't want to like go shopping somewhere for a cordless vacuum and have to go to 4 different stores and try to find like
Never.
right what I
Never.
want. So, things like that. But but I do try to like not use it when I can. So I love that you have put together like a resource where you are supporting small businesses or, just like things that you can't just find on Amazon because I think that that's important too because I don't always like trust it, but I love that you have the high-waisted postpartum recovery undies on there because I realized that I just wear those every day.
Yes.
Not even in postpartum. So like a couple months ago, I was at a lingerie shower from a cousin that was getting married.
Oh my God.
Each had to like pick a pair of underwear for her that they
Yeah.
would guess would be ours.
Oh my.
Um, and then it was so funny, like at the end, obviously I got her like something sexy, spicy, whatever
Yeah.
for that. But then they were talking about underwear and then the grandma like flashed everybody and I was like, I'm wearing the exact same underwear as you are right now.
Yeah. That's
Like, oh my
amazing.
gosh, my life right now. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My husband the other day, that's so funny. And
so
that would
I'm like,
totally be
we have
my grandma.
matching underwear. I literally
Yeah.
wear granny panties.
I mean, same. My husband was like, or like the like rattiest old thongs that are like so comfortable and stretchy. He's like, I don't take this the wrong way because like you wear whatever makes you comfortable, but he's like, it's time.
Right.
It's time to get some new underwear.
Yeah.
Like,
We went through that a while ago, like all of mine had holes in them. I cannot tell you the last time I wore a thong though, but I'm about that granny panty life.
yeah, that
And
granny panty.
yeah, I'm into it. So
Yeah. I mean, it is the best. It truly is. It truly is. But yeah, it's so funny. I need to do the same for my bras, honestly. It's like, yeah, gotta
yeah,
do
well,
something.
it's hard like in this season of life though. It's like your body's constantly changing.
Yeah.
Your boob size is changing, like
Yes.
your boobs change, like
Yes.
everything is like so it's hard to like I was realizing this pregnancy, like it's just hard for me to feel cute because nothing fits or it's like I have like some pregnancy summer stuff, but I was at a different time last time I was
Oh,
pregnant in
yeah.
summer and I'm like I just don't want to like buy more stuff because how long is that going to last?
Right.
Like I might not ever
Right.
be pregnant in the summer again. Like I don't know. So it is hard to like feel cute. And then postpartum too, like your body's changing, everything's just changing. And so I
I
do feel
know.
like it is important to like, take comfort in items that are either comfortable for you or that you do feel good in. I actually do have you have a couple of Kindred Bravely things on here and I do love their company. They have a nursing nightie that's like almost lingerie-ish
Oh,
that
yes, I've seen this.
yeah, I wear that one to bed because it's just like it's so comfortable.
Mhm.
And I feel cute then. I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
not just in a ratty t-shirt and underwear like I am
I
every
know.
night. But it's like super comfy and I do really like that nightie.
There
Um,
is I know exactly which one you're talking about, and there is something to be said for just, like, putting on something nice every once in a while
right,
and just, you know, feeling more just, I don't know, yourself.
right. Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's
Um, but that's awesome. I love that you have this store and that you can like kind of customize bundles for people.
Yes. So, we pretty much pack every order as if it's a gift. We'll get messages like, "Can you gift wrap this?" I'm like, "Everything is." I wrap it as cute as I can. I write handwritten notes if you put it in the order notes. We offer $5 flat rate shipping for all orders in the US.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thanks for thanks to Amazon. I'm like, we can't do free shipping, but we try to make it as accessible as possible. Free shipping on orders 75 and up. And it's just, it's a great way if you know someone who's expecting or newly postpartum to just send them something like, I'm thinking of you. This time is important. You matter too.
Right, right. Yeah, I love that. So tell us a little bit more about like on your website, the must reads and some of the expert advice that you guys give on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, all sorts of practitioners write for us. We have OBGYNs, doulas, midwives, naturopaths, nutritionists, lactation consultants. I mean, you name it, someone's written for us, pelvic floor physical therapists. So we, cycle through our must reads based on kind of what we've been asked for lately. And we really try to cover a broad spectrum of topics. We have a lot about postpartum sex or, postpartum care around the world or mental health. We also have some great story pieces on there too, where, people reach out to us and they want to share their birth story or I regret having my baby story or, whatever kind of it is they feel they need to get off their chest. We welcome any and all stories on our site too. Um, and as we're recording this, we are in the midst of bringing something on, which is at the time of you're probably listening to this already live on our site. And we are starting a postpartum expert directory. So you can find, no matter where you live, an expert who, serves the need that you have when it comes to life after birth. So whether you're looking for a PMHC mental health therapist or an IBCLC or a, feeding consultant, whoever it might be, we created this directory so you can connect directly with the experts. It's free of charge for people to use and find their experts that they need because I pulled our Instagram community and it was kind of astounding how many people needed specialized care after birth, but either weren't referred by their doctor or they didn't know how to find one.
Mhm.
Um, and I hope that this resource really fills in that gap of
Yeah.
finding the care that people deserve. And in pregnancy, too, like if you're pregnant, look through this, like start getting names and numbers in your head of care that you might need.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is true because even I feel like again, postpartum, let's say you're going to your pediatrician. Well, they're really, really educated in certain areas, but not all areas. They might not know to look for certain things when it comes
Right.
to breastfeeding or it comes to like oral ties or it comes
Yeah.
to maybe some sort of gut issue that's happening.
Mhm.
And you might have to advocate and do your own research and find things out on your own. And it can be very frustrating
Yeah.
um, and hard trying to know what to do, especially if you're like going back there and you're like, okay, like things aren't changing, things aren't getting better. What am
Yeah.
I supposed to do? Or if they're just like, oh, the baby's not gaining weight, you need to supplement. But instead
You're
of
like,
like, okay, they don't have a great latch, you need to see a lactation consultant and let's get this figured out. Or,
yeah.
like be assessed for other things. So it can feel like a struggle just advocating for yourself, for your new baby. Again,
Yeah.
you're like healing. Like that's the other thing that's hard. Like I love that like in the UK that the midwife comes to your house because it's like, even here, since I gave birth at a birthing center with my last one, and I am again, I go back there at the 24-hour mark, and I go back there at the 48-hour mark, and then at the 1 week mark. And so then I'm
God.
traveling, and so thankfully, I'll have somebody to take me, but you're not even supposed to be lifting the car seat, like
No.
in and out of the car or anything like that. So it's like how, or even if you don't have your baby there, you're supposed to take them to the pediatrician at what? I don't remember the exact days.
Is it like 24 hours after you get home?
Like 24 hours, then 1 week. It's very
Yeah,
soon after. So
it
like,
is.
and then if you've had a cesarean, you're not supposed to be driving. You're not supposed to, even if you
Oh,
had
yeah.
vaginal birth, you really shouldn't be driving.
No.
Um,
Be out of bed ideally for like 5 days,
right.
at
So that's like
least.
where it's tough. It's like you're required to go to all of these appointments when you should just be at home resting and and really, really recovering. So it's
Yeah.
it can feel like a lot when you're trying to learn the new ropes of your baby and you. Because let's say even like with your first one, you had no issues, and then this one you are like you don't know like how the cards are going to unfold, and you can be prepared and educated, but then at the end of the day, you still have to end up advocating for yourself, for your baby, trying to find resources, trying to figure out what's going on, being like, okay, I know something's off. And people are like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like I remember when I was in the hospital with my first, she was in the NICU, and the lactation consultant had come by, and I'm like, the latch just like isn't right. Like, I felt like something was wrong. And she's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And then 2 weeks later ended up like going to a lactation consultant, and it wasn't fine. Like, there was underlying issues going on. And then I had to like go see like 3 other providers to
My
finally get
gosh.
to the root cause of everything and get things sorted. And it's like, I just I just want to like, yeah, chill at home with my baby. But
Yeah.
that's like hard. So it's nice to have resources and I think even just looking through those resources, things will come up that maybe you didn't even know like
Yeah.
were available or something. So if you're like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, this might be something that like you're not even thinking about pelvic floor therapy, you're like looking for something else or whatever, and you're like, oh wait, like maybe I do need to look into that because
Right.
maybe sex is painful or things are, I feel like incontinence or whatever's coming up for
Yeah.
you. Be like, oh wait, I forgot about pelvic floor therapy, maybe I should look into that, instead of my doctor being like, oh, after you have a baby it's normal for you to pee your
Welcome to motherhood.
pants.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, all these things that are like completely normalized when really they're just common. They're not
Right.
necessarily normal. I think it's so important. And I think, yeah, you gave so many great examples with that. And sometimes I feel like for me at least, and some people I've spoken with too, it's like the hardest part is just knowing where to look and finding that person and making that phone call, So hopefully, if we can alleviate some of that pressure. What's great about our directory is that you can contact the like featured listings. You can contact those providers directly from our website. You don't even have to go to their website or find the contact information for them. There's a contact section. You can drop it down, submit an inquiry. They'll get an email directly from you that you're looking for help. So it's hopefully we're taking some of the steps out for the postpartum care you deserve.
Yeah, that's amazing. Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share with us where people can like find more about Hello Postpartum, where people can follow you, get connected, and use all of your amazing resources.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to share. So we are online at hellopostpartum.com. We publish new articles regularly. You'll find our postpartum shop there. You'll find our directory there, our ebooks, everything, as well as all of our articles. We also have a free cesarean planning guide as well as a postpartum planning guide on the website you'll find at the bottom. And then on Instagram, of course, at Hello Postpartum. I'm also on Threads for like a hot second, but I think I already forgot about it. So
I honestly don't even know what it is. I like saw that like threads came out, and I'm like, I can't even, and I
it was
don't
fun for like a
understand it
day.
or don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
It's like Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. But yeah, mostly Instagram and our websites where you can find us. And you can always email at hi@hellopostpartum.com. Either myself or China, my project manager, will help you with anything you're looking for. And yeah, if you ever have anything you can't find or like to read about, you know, we're always listening and always open to ideas.
Awesome. And then last question before we wrap up, since this is the morning Java, I'd like to ask how you take your morning Java. How do you drink your coffee in the morning?
I don't drink coffee.
Okay, good for you. I love hearing that
I
answer.
I am one of probably the only few people in Seattle that doesn't drink coffee. Um, but I do love myself a chai tea or a matcha every
Mhm.
morning. I'll have that
Yeah.
instead. But coffee just does not work for me.
Do you make your chai yourself?
No,
Oh, okay.
I wish.
I love chai tea.
So
Um,
good.
I'd like to just like get a blend myself to make.
Yes.
Um, instead of like having to outsource it. It's just like every once in a while I'll get it out, but I love
Yeah.
chai tea and I also do love matcha, but I feel like anytime I've made it at home, it just like isn't quite as good.
Oh, not even close. My husband's half Japanese, and I'm like, I really need you to work on your matcha game because this is not. I'm like, it's fine, but like this can be
Right,
better.
right.
I know it can.
Yes.
But he bless his heart, no, he makes me something every morning.
Oh,
So
that's sweet.
yeah.
It's very sweet. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited for everybody to hear this. By the time the episode comes out, that list will be out, so I can include that in the show notes as well, and a
Yay.
bunch of the other links that we talked about. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and for your time and energy today.
Oh gosh, thanks so much. It was so good to see you again and to share. And I'm so grateful and good luck with the rest of your pregnancy. How
Thank
much,
you.
when are you
I'm
due
due
again?
in November.
Okay.
Yes, it's
So
going by fast though. I'm
yeah,
like, wait, I'm 6 months pregnant now. Like that's wild. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I feel like it's each pregnancy is so different.
oh
But mine
yeah,
have actually felt pretty similar. Um, but this one I'm just busier, so
for sure.
it's going by fast, but then sometimes slow. The beginning was
Yeah,
slow and then it was fast, and now I'm like, wow, like 3 months. It seems so far away, but yet excuse me, I know it's gonna be here like in a blink of an eye.
for sure. I mean, you have two other kids. It's like life just, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so
It's
much more
that way.
distracted, so much busier.
Yes, yes. I'm
Definitely.
excited. Awesome. Well, I'm excited for everyone to hear this and have a good
Yes.
rest of your day.
Thanks so much. You too.